Welcome to Ask the Security Guy. I'm Holly Magnuson, and in my presence here in my office, Shawn Kohrman. Good morning, Shawn.
How are you today?
I'm doing good. We are pre-recording our March episode of Ask the Security Guy because you're not going to be around here on March 7th.
No. Well, on March 7th, I intend to be hidden safely away somewhere with my new wife.
That's great. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
It should be a fun event.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to it.
Yeah. So you're going to be traveling.
Yep.
And so we thought it would be very appropriate to talk about travel safety, security safety with your devices, and what all should we think about when we, because vacation season thankfully is not too far away, and not that I'm planning a trip to Yosemite or anything.
Oh yeah, no,
So,
you wouldn't be doing that at all.
No. So what should we think about when we travel?
Well, there's a lot of considerations that go into that, and as we were talking about this, and we're doing wedding planning, and planning out the honeymoon and all that stuff. And one of the things I started thinking about was, hey, there's a lot that actually goes into securing our data and our devices when we travel. And a lot of this stuff, for me, I've just, it's just practice. It's habit.
You just live it and breathe it.
Yeah. And I thought about it, it's like, well, I've taken some trips, different parts of the country in the last couple months, as my fiance has had different assignments, and as I was traveling, I was looking around and watching how people were
carelessly leaving their information about?
You could say that.
Okay.
I'm always looking out for, things that are vulnerable.
Yeah.
But also watching how people conduct themselves. Because, when you travel, you see all different types of people who are very security aware and some who aren't. And pretty much everything in the middle, right? And it was really fascinating for me, these last couple of trips we've taken, to just be looking around and people watching and seeing how people were using their devices, or letting them around, or plugging them in, or what they were doing. Yeah. And so it was really fascinating. So some of the basic practices.
Yep.
If you're traveling, and this actually happened to me in December because I forgot to do this, notify your bank and your credit cards that you're traveling.
Okay.
With all of the data breaches that have happened in the past years, if your credit card company or your bank starts seeing charges coming, say you live here in Los Angeles, and all of a sudden in the Midwest, or you're on the East Coast, or you're out of the country, and they start seeing charges all of a sudden popping up from restaurants and whatnot else, they may freeze your card.
Fun!
Which happened to me over the Christmas break when we took a trip there. And I went to pay for something, and next thing I know, I'm getting a phone call from my bank saying, hey, we're declining this transaction until you call us back and let us know that you are actually in this state.
That's nice in so many ways.
Well, it was really interesting because the card declined, and I actually wound up using a different card to pay for it, and then the phone call and the text came about 10 minutes later. And it's like, oh, I completely forgot to notify my financial institutions that I was going to be traveling.
And how's the easiest way to notify them?
Most of them, you can just go right on their website, and there's a little section that says, I'm traveling, here's where I'm going, or here's the dates. And you can put in as little information as you want. But generally speaking, the more information you give them, the better off you are.
Okay, good.
Because they're going to be looking like, are you traveling to a state or another country? What are the rough dates? And then when they see those transactions popping up, they don't freak out and lock down your card, which creates a real fun inconvenience when you're...
Yeah, if you're trying to buy something and it's, dinner's already been eaten, you're washing dishes.
Yeah, it's fun. Fortunately for me, I had other payment methods that had not encountered that issue. But it was a really good reminder for me, because I have a lot of those security controls enabled with the different financial institutions I work with. So they kind of did exactly what they were designed to do.
Yeah, good.
Because I didn't do my part. So that was really kind of fascinating. Another thing I ran into was because we seem to be so dependent on our smartphones and our tablets and our laptops now, in the airports and even on the plane, you see people in this desperate search for power.
Yeah.
Any USB outlets, any AC outlets,
Yep.
anything they can find. I mean, at the gate, generally what I'm finding in airports now is the center of the seating area at a gate is pretty much wide open because everybody's around the wall.
Well, and more, they have chairs now that you can plug your devices in, either a USB port or an AC port built into the chairs.
Well, yeah, depending on the airport that you're in, or even in some cases the plane that you're on, you may or may not have AC right beside you or right in front of you.
Yeah.
So now that's what's interesting, because there's a normal plug, just standard plug, but then a lot of them also have USB ports.
Yes.
Now that's kind of fascinating, because on one of the flights I was on the plane, I saw this USB port. Now I have all kinds of security controls enabled on my phone or on my tablet. So I decided to do a little experiment. Because normally I would never, ever, ever, ever plug one of my devices into a USB port that I don't control.
Right.
But I was curious. And, device was appropriately protected,
Right.
the whole bit.
Figure you're reasonably safe.
Yeah. So I plugged my device in, think, let's see, okay, is it just going to provide power, or is there something else going on here? Well, sure enough, an alert popped up on my device that says, do you want to allow access to this device from blah, blah, blah?
Negative.
And I'm sitting there going, okay. So now what I'm seeing is the plane is actually trying to access my device. Fantastic.
Yeah.
And no.
Yeah. No, thank you. Thanks for playing.
So that's interesting. If you do a little reading around and do some security research, basically what's out there is, the advice that is out there right now is don't plug into a USB port, even if it says it's just power,
Right.
anywhere that you don't control.
Yeah.
Because it is very easy for a bad guy to install a little piece of hardware, it's just a tiny little thing, that will piggyback onto that connection and try to suck all the data off of your device. Or get access to your device. Now, some of it's legitimate. For instance, the connection on the plane was trying to access the contacts on my device because it enabled you could make Wi-Fi calls
Okay.
over the plane's network
Yeah.
to basically landlines, which is kind of neat. But it wanted access to my contacts, kind of like a car would do when you hook up your Bluetooth to a car. And still, it's a big fat no.
Yeah. No, but like you said, it was a potentially legitimate use.
Potentially legitimate, yes. So that was a good reminder. So, again, never plug into a USB port that you don't control.
Yeah.
Plug into an AC adapter, knock yourself out. A USB port, So notify your financial institution. Make sure you have a good passcode on your phone. It's set to auto lock right away. Never leave your devices unattended. I saw this all over the place when I was traveling. People would leave their laptops open and logged in, or they would leave their phones laying on a chair when they went up to go do something. It would have been so easy for someone to just walk by and swoop.
Yep. And that probably happens more than we know.
More than likely. Because not only were the devices just sitting there out in the open, most of them were unlocked. I mean, I could see. I mean, it's look, there it is.
Yep.
And yes, I was being nosy, kind of what I do.
Yeah. It's like the air you breathe.
I'm curious. So never leave your devices unattended. Never leave them logged in when you're not physically in control of them. I mean, at that second. I hear a lot of, well, I just walked away for a second. Well, trust me, there are bad guys out there that are waiting for you to just walk away for that second.
Yep. We've had many laptops disappear out of offices.
Out of offices, out of cars, off desks.
Yeah, just they were gone for 2 minutes to get a cup of coffee.
Yep. And it takes me less than 30 seconds.
Yep.
So, so again, Be in control of your devices at all times when
Yep.
you're traveling. Assume that wherever you are is not a safe environment.
Definitely.
If you're hooking up to shared Wi-Fi, like Starbucks or the airport or the plane Wi-Fi or whatever, be careful about what websites you access while you're on that.
Yeah.
You don't know who's in control of that network, or who built that network, or who's monitoring that network,
Right.
or who else is on that network with you. So, rule of thumb, if you're on that network, be very careful about accessing your personal email account or any financial institution,
Right.
or anything that has personally identifiable information about you. Your name, your address, your phone number, your social security number, your health records, your financial records, anything like that. If you're just doing basic Google searches, knock yourself out.
Yeah.
A safer way to do that is a lot of us have data plans or phones with hotspots on them
Yep.
through our cell plans. Those are actually quite secure.
Good.
You hook, I do it with my own. I have a little hotspot on my phone that's part of my service with AT&T. And yes, I know I just let that out there on purpose. But the idea there is I can spin up a mobile hotspot on my phone,
Yep.
access securely whatever I need to access, and then turn it back off.
Yep.
It's not as convenient, but it is secure.
Yeah, when I was at a conference a couple of weeks ago, I checked out one of the MiFi devices from the support desk, and that's all I used.
Yeah.
I didn't use the hotel, the conference, the airport. I used that hotspot,
Yep,
and
yep.
it was glorious because I
Yeah.
didn't have to worry as much.
Yeah, it makes it a lot simpler, and so there's that bit out there, and then as we talk about these different things, so keep physical control, be careful what you access, don't hook into USB devices
Yep.
that you don't control. Make sure you can have physical control over all of your devices at all times.
Yep.
And make sure that they're locked.
Yep.
When you're traveling, you don't know who's around you. You don't know what their intentions are, what their backgrounds are, what they may or may not be looking at.
Yeah.
You just don't know. And our nature is to want to trust and to think the best of people around us. Mine, I don't think that way,
Yeah,
but I have
you're-
a different view on life. But when you're traveling, it is a good time to be naturally suspicious and to be extra alert and aware of everything going on around you. Because you don't know. You don't know what their intentions are. And you are around a lot of strangers.
Yes. So when traveler's checks, people don't use those anymore.
Not really.
No, we usually use a credit card, or more and more places you can do a payment app like Google Wallet or Apple Pay. What would be your recommendation in that area?
It's actually, it's a great point, because when you travel, a lot of us use debit cards that are hooked up to our primary checking or savings or whatever with our bank, right? What I recommend there is when you're traveling, have a credit card, low limit, ideally, and hook that up. If you're going to use your payment app on your phone, fine, hook that up to the payment app. Or if you're going to just swipe the card in a restaurant or wherever else you're going, but use a low limit credit card for your travels.
So with that, I have a card that I prefer to use. It has kind of a hefty limit. Can I contact the supplier of that card and say, could you reduce my limit?
You can.
Because again, I
It's
want
an unusual request.
but my thing is, I want my points, I want my miles off of it, but like I said, it has a hefty limit. And somebody could have a really good time.
And you would have a really difficult time dealing with the consequences of that.
Right. And so, I mean,
I keep one of the credit cards I keep has a low limit on it, and I've kept it that way by request. They keep sending me offers to increase my limit, and I keep saying, actually, no, I'd like to keep it right where it is, because it's the one I use for travel.
Right.
And that works out perfectly.
Yeah.
And that way I know that it's limited risk if it gets compromised. And it's not hooked up to my primary bank account where I pay my rent and whatnot else, and my bills from, where my paycheck is direct deposited to. So those kinds of things you are automatically removed from worry. Another thing, if you don't need a card, don't take it with you.
Yeah. I always, when we get ready to leave, I take everything out, but
Yeah, I mean, a lot
my
of us,
special card.
a lot of us, you know, in a purse or wallet, we have all of our credit cards and bank cards and everything else. You know, aside from your IDs, really only take a primary and a backup.
Yeah.
And leave the rest at home.
Yeah.
Because if you lose your wallet, you lose your purse. It's a nightmare to replace that stuff.
Yes, it is. So I've heard, thankfully.
And you know, so it's better. You're better off just, you know, reducing your risk platform or your risk surface, so to speak. And that's really, you know, what is the worst case scenario? If I lose my wallet, how bad is the impact? Okay, well, I know exactly what's in my wallet because I, you know, changed everything before I started the trip. Yep. And I know that if something happens, I have to contact this one, this one, this one, this one.
So yeah, and I've read several times, you know, especially to women, you know, make a photocopy of everything you have in your wallet.
Yep.
So that you have that, so you know instantly, yes, police officer, this was what was in my wallet.
Well, yeah, it's a perfect thing because that way you have a complete inventory that you can hand for a police report if you ever need to.
And you know who to call, what banks. Well, Shawn, I think people are going to find this very useful because, like I said, you know, travel season's coming, and you know, there's a lot of stuff out there in lots of ways, and you know, we just see an increase in people trying to get our information.
You know, and and I wanted to take the time to do this episode because when you're traveling, I mean, you've got, you know, you may be dealing with children and suitcases and travel arrangements and rental cars and this million and one things, and it's very stressful.
Yes.
And it's so easy to forget just these basic things. So I hope that this helps keep people, you know,
I think it will.
get it at the forefront of their thinking, and it's just a timely reminder. I know it was certainly interesting for me to be thinking about it recently and to be observing what I was seeing as I was traveling, and I will definitely continue to be observing because I enjoy it.
Yeah, and always remember, if you have any questions, comments, suggestions, you can email us at iso@apu.edu. Next month, we'll get a follow-up on how the vacation trip went, the honeymoon trip went, as far as if he protected his information and didn't give it away to some bad guy. So, again, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next month.
All right, thank you.
All right, bye.
Bye.